The world has autism. Wow, hello everyone, how's it going? It's time for more, chaos suffering is how I feel like referring to it right now. One word, fear. Yeah. Yeah, that's the word I'm gonna stick with. Sena. Yeah. Like, we've been through a lot. We've been through a lot with all the endings we've gone through thus far, and we're on the second to last from the, like, last ending. Fear though. Just fear. Yeah. I don't know what to expect whatsoever. I generally don't. I'm trying to think. It's not working out very well for me. Cause, like, I feel like Sena's route is gonna be most similar to, Fess's. Just on the simple basis that, like, we've already known a little bit of her backstory already. Unlike with Kozuki. I mean, I guess he knew a tiny bit about Yua, but, like, only a tiny bit, you know? But, like, unlike Fess, Sena doesn't have, like, a specific goal to accomplish. Like, she does, but doesn't at the same time, if that makes any sense. Because, like, Fess, like, had the whole thing with Gladiel. It's like, oh yeah, this is my mission. I will accomplish it. And she accomplished it one way or another. And then Sena, like, has her personal goals, but, like, I don't know, it's different. I'm sure there's gonna be an encounter with her dad, but that only means so much. On one hand, Sena is pretty self-aware of what's going on, too. So, like, I'm sure she'll steer us away from things with, like, Suwa and shit. Or at least won't be, like, trapped into them, kind of unlike what happened with Kozuki. With the whole everyone around is being brainwashed and, like, falling into those traps and delusions. But once again, that doesn't really mean much for what I can actually expect. Maybe Sena will get to see Nanami with Takumi, but, like, also maybe not. I don't know, man. I guess there's a solid chance we'll learn more about the science behind everything, too. We're definitely gonna learn a lot more about Nozomi. Even if, well, maybe not a lot more. But, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't expect a happy ending. Okay. Neutral reaction. Let's go. And she really swung it. Chaos had to stop me to expect nothing and everything. Yeah, that's true. Look at me more. Yes. For her. I wouldn't mind begging on my knees. Also, yes. I wish she'd step on me, actually. Okay. Yes, apparently. The sword's gonna run through me, isn't it? I can tell. Yes. She's going to kill me with that sword. No. Soda flavored gari gari kun. Jesus fucking Christ, Taku. I mean, it is Takumi. Are we surprised? Well, those have definitely been the most down bad set of questions for route starting thus far, but who knows, Rimi might be worse. I love one speedrun visual novel. I feel like I say this every single time. It doesn't get any funnier. I guess it doesn't get less funny either, but that implies it was funny in the first place. Oh, there we go. New content. In front of Shibuya Station, there's an old train car called the Green Frog that's open to visitors. Sena Aoi was sitting inside the car. She bit her thumbnail as she watched people coming and going outside, bored expression on her face. This is where she'd met Takemini Shujo the other day. Now she was back here again. She didn't go to school. She didn't think she had time. There was a constant sense in her mind that time was running out. It made her angry and annoyed, and she took it out on everyone she met. Where are you, Hatano? Sena said that to herself, her voice filled with hate. She stuffed a hand into her uniform pocket and took out a single piece of paper. It looked to have come from a small memo pad, and was badly wrinkled. IR2. Written on the paper was a complex row of numbers and letters that seemed to be some kind of formula. But perhaps, because it was written in pencil, or maybe because so much time had passed since it was written, the writing was faded to the point of almost being impossible to read. That's not how it looks on the image at all. It looks like it was written in pen. The most you could make out was IR2. It was something that Sena's father had once written. It wasn't a keepsake or a treasured memory to Sena. It was something she needed to keep from forgetting how much she hated him. Sena's family had once been happy, but ever since her father had written that formula on this piece of paper, things had slowly, quietly, but surely started to go wrong. Sena's father was a scientist working for a large corporation. Sena was only in elementary school at the time, and she didn't really know what he did, but she knew he was a busy man. He almost never came home. When he did, he was always really nice to her, but he'd never be home for more than a day. He'd be back to work almost immediately. At the time, she wasn't mad at him for never being home, but she had almost no memories of her family eating dinner together, which bothered her a little. Then one day, about 6.5 years ago, her normally calm and quiet father came home in a flurry of excitement. Sena, your dad's made a huge discovery. This is bigger than even a Nobel Prize. What's so amazing? This formula will change our understanding of the entire world. It's that big of a discovery. Then he took out a sheet off a memo pad and wrote out blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah. Then he took a sheet off a memo pad to write out the IR2 formula for her. I've been searching for so long. It wasn't something I could come up with on my own. Project NoAH was at a standstill, a dead end. But with this formula, we can go to the next stage. And I can't believe where I found it too. It must be the guidance of the divine light. Tokyo Station. I just happened to be passing by. It was a total coincidence. Sena, have you ever been to Tokyo Station? It's really big, you know. But in one corner, they had a display of a bunch of essays. It was some kind of national essay contest put on by the cultural ministry. The winning essays were up on display. Sena, did you know about it? Did you maybe apply? No, I don't think I did. Well, if you had, I'm sure you would have won too. No, I'm not good at writing. You sure? I think you should be more confident. So, this essay was a big discovery? No, that's not how it happened. The essay doesn't matter. What's important is what was scribbled on the back. The essays were put up in these transparent plastic frames. You could see the back too. I don't think it was something they meant to do. I think it was just chance that the frames were see-through. I'm sure whoever held the contest didn't intend for us to see the scribblings on the back. And that's why the probability that I was able to see this formula was so astronomically low. It's what you call a miracle, I guess. Or, one could say, the will of Steins Gate. No. Bad joke. A formula is like a math problem, right? Yes, that's right. A really hard math problem. Can a math problem change the world? Yes, apparently. Yeah, it sure can. Daddy's research is going to change the world forever. Sure did, buddy. Really? I don't know if I believe that. Someday, I'll prove it to you. Just you wait, Sena. And you proved it in the worst way possible. 6.5 years had passed since then. Sena gritted her teeth and shoved the paper back in her pocket. She looked up to the cloudy sky outside the windows. Her dad had been right. The world was about to change. Things around Sena had already changed dramatically. The world was being reborn into something ugly and awful. The worst kind of world imaginable. I won't let him make that world. I'll kill him and stop it. The revenge plot. I saw a sword. Yes. You'd think I would have this memorized by now, but I don't. I wonder if Takumi will get his D-sword in this route, because he didn't last time. Goes OP is small and good. Deserved better. The 7th murder. Another one. Another new gem murder. How long was this gonna keep happening? Wow. The Dokkyun puzzle, wow. It's kind of annoying that this is not skippable at all. Somebody saved me. Where did Rimi go? Wasn't she supposed to protect me? No, I couldn't count on Mimi anymore. I'm gone to school today and she hadn't even been there. It was like she'd never been there at all. I need somebody to protect me. Somebody other than her. The first person that came to mind was... Sena. If you feel like you're going to get more involved in this, whether you want to or not, you need to keep a strong will. One that can turn negative into positive. Without that strength, your delusions will devour you. Except about Kozupi. Sobs. Senawi. She had given me that warning before we'd said goodbye the other day. She knew something. She had a D-sword. She looked kind of strong too. Would she save me? I needed her to. Really badly. The next day, I headed to the area in front of the station. I didn't want to go at all. The events at Ofront had left me with traumatic memories of Scramble Crossing. And there were so many people around, like always. And the Hachiko statue especially had so many couples around it. Everybody was either grinning at me or pointing their cell phone cameras at me. If I looked behind me, I'd see the huge Ofront building, where I'd humiliated myself last night. The videos from that night were probably online, or they'd be shared around the globe for the rest of eternity. There was no way I'd ever manage to get them all deleted. People would be using that video to make fun of me until the day I died. I was so frustrated, sad, and irritated that I wanted to run away. But if I did, Shogun would kill me, so I stayed. I tried my best not to look at the people around me, and then, trembling, I set foot inside the train car they called the Green Frog. Sena was there, just like I thought she'd be. She was the only one in the car. I never thought about it before, but maybe the reason that nobody else came in was that she'd done something somehow. And was it her Giglomaniac power? You, huh? Did you find an error? I shook my head a little, and offered her the Gari-Gari-Kuns I'd bought at the store. This is what the Japanese called nothing special. I brought you this gift. It's nothing special, but oh, thank you. I was following Japanese tradition, you see. If you went to see someone, you were expected to bring a gift. I didn't expect her to protect me for free. I pay her 3 Gari-Gari-Kun popsicles a day. With an offer like that, said it was sure to agree.
くれるのか?
I'm giving them to me.
ありがとう.
Thanks. Sena took them, with much less questioning than I had thought. She'd fallen for my trap.
日常は何味が好きだ?
What's your favorite flavor, Nichijou?
私は断然
Mine's soda.
ソーダ味だな.
She ripped open the plastic and took out the popsicle. Maybe I was imagining it, but it felt like she had a grin on her face. She must really like gotta kyun. Sena, if you eat too many, you'll get sick. I like the cola ones. Of course he does. What? The cola ones taste awful. Only idiots like them. If I had to guess, Hades, probably just a light citrus like original flavored ramune. I feel like that's usually like the default soda in Japan. But that's just a guess. Sorry. She got mad at me. I didn't think it was worth getting mad at someone over, but I couldn't upset her here. So, she gave me a questioning glance as she began to nibble on her popsicle. You want something from me? Look, could Sena do anything to make herself look less intimidating? She always looked so angry. All I was doing was asking her for help, but I felt like my nervousness was going to kill me. I wasn't even that good at talking to 3D girls in the first place. Japan does seem like the citrus type of place to you. Are you trying to say that Japan is fruity? I took several deep breaths and somehow managed to calm myself down. I want you to save me. What do you mean? The new gen killer is after me. I told you about it before, right? That guy named Shogun. He's right eating my mind. Mind reading, huh? Who is he? I don't know. I was hoping you could tell me. There aren't many people here in Shibuya who can read minds. So, a gigalomaniac. Or somebody with Nozomi. I mean... Nozomi? Popsicle intimidation eating technique. So true. Nozomi Technologies. They're trying to take over the world with Project NoAH. What? Isn't that what they usually call a conspiracy theory? Maybe Shogun was working with them. Help me, please. I started to feel worse and worse. I just wanted somebody to cling to, somebody to save me. Sena took another bite of her Garigari-kun. That's such a tongue twister. Her eyes narrowed. I told you. Without strength, your delusions will devour you. Do you have what it's going to take? No, of course not. I'm just asking you to help me. I'm so sick of all this. Why am I the only one who has to suffer like this? I dropped to my knees. Forget about me. Protect me. What did I ever do to any of you? I didn't want to do anything. You don't, huh? I could feel her cold gaze. I knew how pathetic I looked. I couldn't look up. I'm curious about this Shogun character, though. If he's with Nozomi, does that mean he's behind you, Jun? So, I can't let this opportunity slip away. I love that Sena is smart. We need a smart character. She was looking out the window and mumbling to herself. She was frowning, lost in thought, but still eating her Garigari-kun popsicle. After a moment, she suddenly stood up from her chair and came over to me.
私に守って
You
ほ
want
し
me
い
to
のか
protect you? Damn it. Why did she always have to look down on me whenever we spoke? Did she think she was a queen or something? In my mind, I was angry at her. In the real world, I was just nodding along helplessly.
それはつまり
And that means you're going to be
私とお
tagging
前は
along with me.
これから行動を共にするという意味だ。それでもいい
You're
んだ。
okay with that, right? I'm okay with anything, as long as you'll protect me. My top priority now is protecting myself from Shogun, my greatest enemy. If you're really going to protect me, I don't care about anything else.
決まりだ。
And then it's settled. She reached out her hand. I didn't know what she meant, so I just stared at her long, lithe fingers. She looked frustrated for a second before grabbing me and pulling me to my feet. Our eyes met for a second. She was looking into my face at point-blank range, so I quickly looked down. She let go.
じゃあ行くぞ。
Let's go then. She turned her back to me. Huh? Go where?
のぞみテクノロジー
Nozumi
の本社。
Technologies, HQ. Jesus. Straight to the point, huh? Huh?
これから乗り込む。
I'm going to break in. Break in? To the enemy's HQ? No. What was this idiot thinking? Was she suicidal or something? I screwed up. I was an idiot to go to her for help. I'm not going. I'm definitely not going there. I'm the guy who says to the hero, you can't go, it's suicide. Not the hero who actually goes and commits suicide. I stood there with my mouth open, gaping like a fish. Sena ignored me and left the train car. I decided there was no way I was going anywhere. And then I realized my arm couldn't move. I looked down on my body. What? There's a white chain wrapped around me. It was wrapped tight too. I tried to pull it off, but it didn't move. Who'd put it there? When? What was going on here?
ぐずぐずするな。
Stop wasting time. She leashed him. Sena looked at me, poking her head up against the train car window. The chain holding my body jerked forward. I tried to stay where I was, but my body wasn't moving like it should. The chain led outside the car and ended in Sena's hand. She was holding it. Sena was holding the chain. So she was the one pulling it? So this was some kind of public humiliation fetish, like with the dominatrix and her slave, then. Okay, I can work with that. Oh god, talk of me. Wait, no I can't! I was such an idiot to come to Sena for help. She was the worst choice. Somebody help me. This isn't fair. The Nozomi HQ building was within walking distance of Shibuya Station, but my mental strength felt like I was going to run out before I got there. Sena was walking right through the middle of the city with me wrapped up in a chain behind her. And of course, there were any number of people with their phones pointed at us, as if I hadn't been humiliated enough already. There were probably threads up on that channel already. Boy Psychic Nishijo, doing human pet play with a black-haired toddy in the middle of Shibuya. The Dokyuns were going to tease me again. I kept begging, but Sena wouldn't take the chains off.
今のお前にとって
What
必
you
要
need
な
to
の
do
は
now is to
目立
stand
つこ
out.
とだ。
You're certainly standing out
今の
now,
ところ
aren't you?
その目的は達成されてるだろ。
I honestly thought for sure that the chains weren't actually visible, but nope, she actually is going the publicly humiliate Nishijo route. Okay. I had no idea what the hell she was talking about. What did that mean? I'd never in my life said, Coach Anzai, I want to be a man who stands out. And we were heading into the enemy HQ too. We could be killed at any moment. Mitsuna ignored my pleas. She went inside a fancy-looking building, still holding the chain in her hand, as Lily dragged along behind her. I gasped when I saw how fancy the lobby in front of me was. The Nozomi group. It was supposedly one of Japan's biggest corporate conglomerates right now. It was a world apart from the daily life of a wimpy school kid like me. I'd never been inside a building like this before, and the size of the lobby, and the pretty girl sitting motionlessly at the receptionist desk staggered me. This is a corporate office, right? Wasn't it supposed to be off limits to the public? Both Sena and I were wearing a CMA uniform. We were clearly both high school kids, and one of us was a weirdo with a chain wrapped around him. I don't understand how Sena could walk right in like she owned the place. Was she just crazy? Of course, when we went through the automatic doors and saw the receptionist, their eyes met ours. Let's go home. I hesitated to go any further, but Sena didn't stop. Don't worry. We walked past the front desk and into the elevator hall. Nobody said a word. Why? Sena didn't get in one of the elevators. She opened the emergency exit near the elevator hall. There was a dimly lit emergency staircase inside. Only after we were there did she stop. Everyone around us thinks we work here. The sense of something pressing up against my body had vanished. I looked and saw that the chain wrapping around me had disappeared, and now Sena was holding her D-sword in her hand. And that chain was a real booted illusion then? And then, the chain Sena had real booted by sending anti-particles into the dead spots of my eyes suddenly disappeared. What do you mean they think we work for Nozomi? You're making them believe it. The effect extends to everyone who sees us with the naked eye. Making them believe it? Was that possible? Obviously. Sena looked up toward the top of the stairs. What looked like the security camera was waiting there. There was a red light on it, and it was scanning from right to left while making an eerie noise. Can you make a security camera believe it too? I could if I wanted to, maybe. I've never tried it. I don't need to. I don't need to it? I don't need to it. But why? They'll find us. You're crazy. In stealth missions, the first thing you do is always destroy the security cameras. Buddy, you don't know anything. At least, that's what I learned from video games. I told you. You need to stand out. I had no idea what she meant. She was contradicting herself, wasn't she? She wanted to camouflage us by making everyone believe we were Nozomi employees, but I also needed to stand out? Which was it? What was she trying to accomplish here? No one ever explained to me what the hell they were actually talking about. Did they all think I was stupid? Did they all just think there was no point in telling Takumi Nishijo since he wouldn't be able to understand it? I mean... It was smart, damn it. My IQ was definitely higher than Sena's. I was sure of it. I'm not sure about that, buddy. Not that IQ means anything, actually, but... While I stood there, biting my lip in frustration, Sena began to walk up the stairs herself. Was she really going to protect me? No, probably not. She was putting me in danger by forcing me to come here. Also, please don't go on ahead without me. Please tell me where we're going and what we're doing here. And why do we need to take the stairs instead of the elevator? I'm out of shape. Taking the elevator is suicide. I could hear Sena's voice above me. More mind reading? I sighed and followed Sena up the stairs. When I got to the second floor, Sena was waiting for me. When she saw that I caught up, she headed up another flight. If you try to use the elevator in the enemy's headquarters, they'll just lock you in and trap you, right? Yeah, but... More importantly, Nishijo, tell me about Shogun. When did he start coming after you? About a month ago. You've spoken to him, right? I nodded. She turned around and looked down at me from above. could almost see your panties from here, Sena. Quickly looked away.
どんなことを言っていた？
What did he tell you? What did he tell me? I told her all about the things Shogun had told me, and about how he threatened me with a fake kidnapping.
畑野
Have you
と
ever
いう
heard
名
the
前
name
に聞き覚
Hatano?
えは？
ないけど。
No. Why?
将軍が言っていたか
Shogun
もしれ
might
な
have
いだ
said
ろ
it, right?
う。よく思い
I
出せ。
think. Hatano. I hadn't heard it before.
誰？
Who's that?
プロジェクトノアに関
Someone
わってい
involved
た
with
男だ。
Project NoAH. I didn't know him. I didn't even know what Project NoAH was.
そうか。
I see.
知
If
ら
you
ないな
don't
ら
know,
別
then
に。
that's fine. She turned away from me and began to silently walk up the stairs. Are we there yet? We walked up almost 20 flights of stairs with no break. I didn't think I'd ever walked up so many flights of stairs in my life. I was so tired. Please, no more stairs. The sweat was falling from my brow and threatening to get into my eyes. I kept wiping it away, and it kept coming back. My legs were exhausted, and I was so out of breath I thought I'd suffocate. I bent over, hands on my knees, and tried to catch my breath. The sweat fell off and made a puddle on the floor. How many more flights to go?
社長室
The
は
CEO's
最上
office
階
is
にあるら
supposed
し
to be
い。
on the top floor.
31階
That
だ。
would be the 31st. 10 more flights of stairs. Wait, why was I doing this? A desk Sena to protect me. What was I doing up here? I saw that AAAA art of Polnareff's face appear in my mind's eye. You're right, I don't know what's going on at all. The sound of my panting echoed through the quiet emergency staircase. Surprisingly, Sena didn't try to go on without me. She leaned up against the wall, staring at me expressionlessly. Just give me a chance to rest from the look of it. There was another security camera above her head. And there were cameras on all the floors. They must have known exactly where we were for a while now. Security might come for us any moment.
監視カメラに細工を
And the
しなか
reason
っ
I
たの
didn't
は
do anything to the cameras, she whispered suddenly,
将軍がもし
was
望み
that
の
if
人間
Shogun
で
or
こ
anyone
の
with
ビル内
Nozomi
にいる
was
な
here.
らおび
wanted
き寄
to
せる
alert
ことが
them
でき
out.
るかもしれないと思ったからだ。
つまり、
In other words,
僕はおとりってわけ？
I'm bait? Yes,
そういうことにな
and
る。
that's right.
もともと望
And
み
I
に
was
なんか
never
興味はな
interested
かっ
in
たんだけど
Nozomi in
な。
the first place.
このビルに乗
I
り込
wasn't
むことに
planning
した
on
のだって
coming here
イレ
either.
ギュラーだ。もちろん、
Of course.
いつか
I
は
was
プロジェ
planning
ク
on
トノアを
destroying
潰そう
Project
とは思っ
NoAH
てい
at
た
some
が、
point.
それ
But
は
not
今じゃな
now.
い。
There's
それよ
something
り
I
も
had
優
to
先
do
しなくちゃいけない
first.
ことがあった。
She turned talkative all of a sudden. Maybe she was explaining Maybe she was explaining the reason she'd come here. She didn't tell me it was that I can't speak all of a sudden. She didn't tell me what it was that she had to do first.
お前の話を聞
From
く
what
限
you
り、
said,
その
Miss
将軍
Shogun
は
seems
何
to
かを
know
知ってる。
something.
あるいは、
He might know about
畑野の
Hatano.
ことも。
Whenever she said the name, her expression would darken for a moment. Was he some kind of terrible criminal or something? I mean, yes, actually.
安心しろ、
Don't
西
worry,
条。
Nishijo.
これは
We're
交換
making
条
a
件
fair
だ。
trade.
お前に
You're
おとり
being
に
my
なっても
babe
らう代わり
in
に、
exchange.
私は
protect
お前
you.
を守る。それにお前だっ
And
て
you want to know who
将
Shogun
軍の
really
正体を
is,
知り
right?
たいだろ。
If you want to get rid of a
脅
threat,
威を
the
排除
best
する
thing
に
to
は
do is go on
こ
the
ちらから
offensive
攻撃。
end. She suddenly stopped speaking. Her eyes narrowed. She stepped away from the wall, holding her D-sword at the ready on the small landing.
どうしたの？
What's wrong? Sena didn't answer. She looked down over the stair railing and then up, and then froze.
この声、
Where's this
どこから？
voice coming from? Voice.
お前、何者だ！
Who are you? She suddenly screamed. Thought she was yelling at the cameras, but she was looking further up at the ceiling. Was it? A terrible thought ran through my mind. I looked up too, of course. There was nothing there. And I couldn't hear her voice either. I could tell what was going on, though. Shogun. He was using satellites in the sky far above us to read her mind and speak to her. Sena, don't listen to that voice. Sena! I grabbed her and shook her. Looks like Shogun isn't working with Nozomi. And... I knew it. Sena heard Shogun's voice. He's lying to you. He's my enemy. Don't believe him. The sound. Huh? My hand was on her shoulder. She grabbed it and held it tight. Her nails dug into me. It hurt. I winced. Nishijo, that's the sound. Be careful. There was a flash of light above us. I saw an image in my mind. A dark room. A pool of blood on the floor. A strange object that looked like a cross. And someone lying helpless, trapped, bound to it. Their clothes stained with blood. Their right hand was severed at the wrist. I saw it. I could see every detail. I was sure of who I'd seen. It was Nanami. Nanami is somewhere in this building. Shogun had kidnapped her after all. The severed hand was real, not a delusion. I had to find her. I had been able to save her, and now she was suffering. I had to find her. This time, I had to save her. Calm down, Ichijo. It might be a trap. Well, you just believed what Shogun said, didn't you? I knocked Sena's hand away. The CEO's office was on the 31st floor, right? No, listen to the sound. It's a different delusion than the one Shogun was using. I ignored her and started to run. I was tired. It didn't matter. I was desperate. Nanami was suffering. It was my fault. It was all my fault. I failed last time. I'd run away. Nanami must hate me. Forgive me. I'm such a terrible brother. Damn it. I wanted power. D-sword like Sena had. Why couldn't I get a D-sword? I wanted it so badly. Nanami, don't die. Please. Nanami! The 31st floor was large. It only had one door. I flung it open and saw that it was the room I'd just seen in my mind. There were monitors hanging from the ceiling, all of which had the word Nozomi against a white background. I looked around for Nanami. It was too dark to tell if she was here or not, but... Nanami. It didn't feel like there was anyone here. Nothing moved. Nothing breathed. There's nothing here. Nishijo! Sena followed me into the room. She grabbed my hand. We're leaving now. This is a trap. But Nanami! Can't you hear the sound? Suddenly, the open door slammed shut on its own. The room got darker. Damn it. Sena ran to the door and tried to force it open with no luck. Her D-sword vanished, as if it was melting into thin air. We're trapped. Then use your power. I can't form the delusion. Sena winced and rubbed her temples before shaking her head. I had a headache. I only noticed it after I'd calmed down. It wasn't that bad. But it felt like it was coming from the very center of my head. It felt like it was pounding in time with my heartbeat. A small, barely noticeable pain. My head was starting to feel fuzzy. And there was Nanami. Was this Shogun's trap? Was Shogun on my side? What kind of stuff does Nozomi Technologies even make? Sena's tits were pretty flat, but it was Hatano. Weird. Why can't I focus on a single thought? You're undergoing a biofrequency attack. Two of the monitors above suddenly changed what they were showing. Each showed a different man in late middle age. Kids these days are fearless. In a bad sense, of course. Indeed. It's probably your fault, Inohana. The new, more relaxed education system was your idea. Interesting. It was simply carrying out the Committee of 300's plan. It's another excellent step toward the human cultivation project. What? Who were these people? It's certainly ironic that you're the one to bring an end to it too. I'm sure the Committee of 300 didn't expect that. They think they rule the world, and they have no idea what you and I have cooked up for them, Kuramochi. It was my way of declaring war. The world doesn't need 300 rulers. The two of us can do it ourselves. What were these two talking about? And then their bulging eyes turned to look at us. It all worked out, exactly like NoAH said. I certainly didn't think she'd be stupid enough to fall right into the trap, but I suppose I was wrong. In a week or so, she'll be too weak to resist, and then we can begin the torture show. And these documents say that Sena Hatano's code sample has already been collected. Sena Hatano? What the hell was that? You think we should brainwash her? Make her our soldier? Soldier and plaything. Having a giggly maniac girl as a slave sounds like it would be a fun time. Gross. You have such fascinating tastes, Inohana. Now then, Giglomaniac children, enjoy your confinement. In a week from now, the world will be a very different place thanks to Project NoAH. I'm sorry you won't get to see the moment it happens. And the faces disappeared from the monitor. The room became dim again. It was a trap. It was a trap! Damn it. But we're grown adults, one of whom was evidently a Diet member. Wanted to set up a trap for a creepy loser kid like me. Not fair. It's not fair! Enemy wasn't here. She was being held in another room. I felt pathetic for falling for it. I should have just listened to Sena. And so, Laura's member and the leader of the Cosmic Church of the Divine Light were both part of the Committee of 300. Sena was slamming her shoulder against the door. It wasn't budging. Maybe it had been locked from the outside. It looked tough. It was probably impossible to break. The Committee of 300. I remembered reading about them in some conspiracy theory. Were they real? It makes sense, now that I think about it. Silent weapon theory was originally their project. What is that Project NoAH thing they were talking about? Sena moved away from the door. Evidently, she'd given up. She looked around the dim room, frowning. A silent weapon development project created by Nozomi Technologies. Silent weapon? The simplest way to describe it is as a mind control device that works over a large area. Mind reading, induced hallucinations, sensory control. No actual damage is done to the physical body. There's no sound, no color, no smell. It's completely impossible. Invisible. Why did I say impossible? But it's quietly and slowly affects the minds of anyone it targets. The attack ends before anyone knows it's even happened. It sounds like a gigglomaniac's power. Of course. The silent weapons got their start as an attempt to create an artificial gigglomaniac. It was such a bizarre thing to hear that it didn't feel real. And that's just how it went. I wasn't a hero. So even if this incredible conspiracy was real, and I'd been at work right here in Shibuya, I didn't want to try and fight it. Even if I tried, I wouldn't be of any help. Even to somebody else who's stronger than me. It is possible that the new gen murders, as well as the bizarre things that were happening to me, were all part of Project NoAH. I mean, yeah. If that was true, I'd do better to get out of Shibuya right now, so they couldn't hurt me. All I wanted was for Nanami to be safe, for me to be safe, to live in peace. For that to happen, I had to get out of here. I didn't want to spend a week stuck in here, especially since there didn't seem to be any food or water. Right, that's what those old men wanted. A week without food or water would weaken us. It might even kill us. Sena, let's think of a way to get out of here. The door won't open. Sena looked tired. But what about your D-sword? For some reason, I can't summon it. They must have shut down my power. We're being attacked by a silent weapon, Nishijo. Attacked? What did that mean? Did it mean there was no way to escape? Sena laid down right on the floor like she was exhausted. Are you okay? Damn it. I feel so tired. And it feels strange. Like someone's squeezing me tight, deep inside my chest. Sena's breathing was shallow. Her chest was exposed, just a little. I could see the sweat forming on it, even in the darkness. Despite everything that was going on, it still looked so sexy. I realized that the room was awfully hot. Hey, do you have any water? Of course I didn't. I was getting thirsty too. The idea of spending a week without water in this heat made me feel sick. Sena was staring at me. I wasn't capable of looking at a 3D girl in the eyes, so I quickly turned away. I could still feel her staring at me. Don't look at me. I don't have any water, no. I glanced over at her for just a second. Our eyes met. Why was she looking at me like that? She looked like a young maiden in love. Of course, I was a virgin who never had a girlfriend, so I didn't know what a young maiden in love actually looked like, but still. I quickly turned away and audibly gulped. Something's wrong. Be careful, Nishijo. They might be manipulating our emotions. Huh? What do you mean? Whenever I look at you, I feel strange. Damn it. How dare they? In other words, they're forcing Sena to fall in love with me? Or maybe she was just in love with me from the start. No, not a chance in hell. They're manipulating our emotions? How? Human emotions are just electrical signals in the brain.
その電
And
気
they're
信
doing
号を
research
干
all
渉す
over
る
the
技
world
術
to
は
find a way to
世界
interfere
中で
with
研
those
究されて
electric
る。
signals. It's
あんた
possible that they already
とっくに
reached the
実用
point
化さ
where
れ
they
てるか
can
も
be
しれない。
used in practical
ま
applications,
してや沈黙な
especially
兵
with a
器
silent weapon,
ノア2
like
なら
NoAH
造
2.
作もないことだ。分かっただろう。
You understand now,
世界は
right?
電気仕掛けだ。
When I said the
私が
whole
言った
world
意味
runs on electricity. Like a program, maybe. There's the zeros and ones that could be easily manipulated. It had been scientifically proven that there were electrical signals running through the brain. So whatever you defined as a soul or mind was electrical too. Huh. So, in the end, it's no different than 2D. That's your conclusion? And heroines from my H games. There's a latte for an ESO. They get a ton from the anime and Sena. What was the difference between any of them? If Sena was right and the whole world ran on electricity, there was no difference at all. Every one of them was the same. It felt like I understood a little about what Sena meant by errors. That would make NoAH 2 a really powerful computer virus. Or maybe a PK or using an illegal cheat code. Even Nightheart couldn't beat somebody like that. He was way more useless than he was. The only thing I could... The only thing I was good for was getting a miserable game over by starving to death in a locked room. It's not my fault. It's the person inside me who keeps making all the bad route choices. Listen. I covered my head with my hands and curled up into a ball. "28 hours passed since we'd been locked in the room. I'd fallen unconscious several times already. Waves of different feelings were watching over me. One moment I'd feel depressed, the other maniacally excited. It was wearing down my mind. Sen and I said nothing to each other, damn. Sen had been completely useless since she'd been locked in here anyway. Wow. The one saving grace was that there were computers in this room. There were several other monitors besides the monitors that had been showing the filthy faces of the Diet member and the cult leader. These monitors were all connected to computers. The computers had internet too. I tried posting SOS messages on various message boards. It hadn't worked though. Shocker. I couldn't post anything. I could receive messages, but not post anything. No chats, no emails. Somebody out there was watching us, at the orders of those two men. And were they giving us access to information? I couldn't tell. A few hours after I had begun looking around on the internet, I happened to look at the top stories on Taboo Hands News. Blech. One headline struck out at me. Ryan should be a scramble crossing. And then it happened. First, there was the rumbling. The floor, no, the whole building began to violently shake. Next, a terrible ringing in my ears. It was the high-pitched sound of something resonating that threatened to split open my head. I looked over at Sena, and saw she was holding her ears in pain. And then, an intense, violent rumbling. Like somebody had thrown the building into a blender. I couldn't stay standing. I fell and started to roll, and quickly slammed back first into a wall. Sena was crouching in a ball in the middle of the room. And above her, the monitors hanging from the ceiling were swaying like pendulums. The whole world started to move in slow motion. The monitors started to slow down, and with a dull crack, the aluminum posts holding them up broke. And they fell, slowly, right towards Sena. I've experienced this feeling before, hadn't I? Yeah, that's right. When Ayase had jumped off the school building. She was going to die. If one of those huge monitors fell on her head, she'd die. I couldn't get there in time. She was at least 5 meters away, and I didn't have the courage you need to sacrifice yourself to save a 3D girl. Instead, though, a delusion formed in my mind. In the delusion, I was running across the shaking floor, grabbing her in my arms and saving her heroically. It all happened in an instant. I blinked, and in that moment, my body teleported over to Sena, and I grabbed her and rolled out of the way. I could hear the monitor slamming down into the floor right next to me. The room had been so dark, but now my vision was white. And there was an ear-piercing explosion, and then a shockwave even bigger than the others assaulted me, and then I passed out. How much time had passed? My mind felt like it was floating in the darkness. Like there was something close, frustratingly close. I faintly felt something warm, and then slowly opened my eyes. Senna's face was right in front of me. Her long hair was draping down my cheeks. The sensation of her breathing was touching my nose. Her eyes were closed, but her eyelashes were twitching. She seemed to be just unconscious. She was so close. If I wanted to kiss her, I could. I tried to back away, but I couldn't move. Only then did I realize the situation I was in. I looked around, but it was too dark to see. It was like there was a thin veil over me. MC is down bad a little. He is a degenerate. I realized what it was. Dust. We were buried in the rubble. I hadn't gone blind. There were no gaps to see out of anywhere around us. We were wedged in a tiny space. If I tried to move my limbs, I could hear the sound of pebbles falling. When I heard that, I stopped moving. Cold sweat formed on my forehead. Was there an earthquake? There have been a lot of them in Shibuya lately. Maybe they were leading up to this one. Had Tokyo finally been hit with the next superquake? And then the Nozomi building had collapsed, maybe? I remember the terrorist attack that had hit America a few years ago, and instantly felt miserable. We were trapped in the rubble, but we were safe. Maybe we'd been incredibly lucky. Of course, there's no telling how long that luck could last. And the rubble around us was in a state of precarious balance. I couldn't tell, but it was possible that there was 10 tons more rubble right on top of it. If we moved too much and destroyed that balance, the rubble would crush us inside of a second. I shivered as I imagined what would happen then, and I stopped moving. I don't want to die. I don't want to die here, crushed, without anyone knowing where I am. Someone, please come save me. The self-defense force, the rescue squad, I don't care who. Just come save me. I listened to see if I could hear anyone. Well, there was only an eerie silence. The only thing I could hear was Sena's breathing. Damn it. How could she stay asleep at a time like this? She was lying right on top of me, her body tight against mine. Her body was pressing down on me. Her chest, her stomach, her legs, almost her entire body was on top of me. It was heavy. It was heavy, but I could also feel the softness of her body. And I could still feel her breath tickling my cheek. Did it seem a little sweet because of all the gari-gari-coons she ate? Her breathing was deep, rhythmic, and with each breath, her chest heaved slightly. And every time it did, I could feel it. Was this some new type of torture? My mind wasn't going to last 5 minutes against this. I needed to wake her up and get out of here. Wake her up? Was that safe? If she woke up, what would she do? Sun was always glaring at everybody, regardless of who they were. At minimum, she'd call me a pervert. She might even go crazy and try to rip my throat out with her teeth. Jesus. We were close enough, and since she was on top, she could do it. I wouldn't be able to run. Maybe that was going too far. It was certainly possible that Sena would panic when she woke up. She'd panic and struggle and bring the rubble down on top of us. What was I supposed to do? I want to put my hands on my temples and think. I couldn't, so instead I settled for bashing my head against the rubble below. If nothing else, it would stop me from getting horny for Sena. A man's gotta do what a man's gotta do, I guess. Don't think about it. You're not interested in 3D girls. You like 2D girls. Think about Seidatan's face. Don't think about Sena's tits. She's all stuck up anyway. Not your type. She's not turning you on at all. Don't get horny. Don't get horny. Don't get horny. I was so horny. Maybe I could have my way with Sena while she was asleep. Don't. Maybe I could lick the lips that were always saying all those mean things. That's a little weird. No, not a good idea to go for the lips first. How about don't touch her? I wasn't ready for that yet, buddy. Maybe I could lick her cheek. What did a 3D girl's skin taste like? Sweat? Or was it sweet? Maybe? Please wake up, Sena. This guy is freaking gross. Yeah, I told you he was a degenerate. And I froze. None of the delusion I was forming in my mind. I could hear her voice mixed in with her breathing. It was soft, like a whisper. And weak. Far weaker than you'd think from the haughty way she always spoke. Daddy. She was mumbling. Her eyes were still closed. She wasn't awake yet. I was relieved to see that she hadn't read my mind and found out what I'd been thinking a second ago. A small tear came down from one of her closed eyes. And then it fell on my cheek. It was so warm, but it quickly cooled. Even Sena cried sometimes, huh? I was starting to feel a little depressed. What happened between her and her father? A lot. I tried speaking to her. Her body shivered. Her eyes slowly opened. Her eyes met at point-blank distance. She was staring at me. Her eyes were only half open, like she was still asleep. Don't look at me. It's embarrassing. And then, after a moment, her face began to turn red. Her eyes went wide as she looked around her. What's going on? Don't move. The rubble will crush you. Rubble? I explained to her that we'd been buried alive in the earthquake. I see. I do remember the shaking, and then that huge monitor fell down. You saved me, didn't you? I did, actually. I remembered that. I had no idea how I'd done it, but I had. Thank you. I promised to protect you. I didn't think you'd end up saving me instead. I thought you were a loser. I guess you're more of a man than I assumed you were. Thanks. And that wasn't something I ever expected to hear. It might have been the first time in my life I'd gotten a compliment from a 3D girl. I'm not sure that was a compliment, but anyway. And of course, Seidatan was always telling me how amazing I was. But this situation isn't good at all. You don't say. We're pressed up together really tight, yeah. You idiot. That's not what I meant. I meant that we're buried alive. Sorry. Well, it's not good that we're pressed up together either. Use your gigomaniac power to save us. You can do that, right? It might be hard, but it's worth a try. Nichijo, look into my eyes. Huh? Why? We're going to create a shared awareness between you and me. Look in her eyes. It was already embarrassing enough being so close. If I looked into her eyes, I might lose control entirely. Stop wasting time. Did you not hear me? Look into my eyes. I reluctantly obeyed. I gazed into Sena's eyes. She was gazing back at me. Yeah, indeed. The silence is loud. This is really embarrassing. I never locked eyes with a girl for so long. I never looked people in the eyes when I spoke anyway, so I wasn't used to this. The fact that her eyes meant naturally that she was looking at only me right now. And it was reflected in her eyes, and nothing else was. I was feeling her whole vision, and I was so close. Just imagining it made this embarrassing situation seem as sexual as a scene in an H game. Yeah, I'm sorry. I have H game brain. So true. Wait, no delusions. Sena was staring into my eyes. What if she could tell what I was thinking? Of course, I knew that you couldn't read somebody's thoughts by looking into their eyes. But Sena was a gigalomaniac, and I already seen what Kozupi could do. Anyway, this was impossible. You can't stare into a girl's eyes. Nishijo, don't look away. Wait, Sena wasn't looking at me either. Like, just can't. I see. Neither can I, actually. Y'all. So close. It's embarrassing. Seeing Sena's face this red was a new experience. It was really wait, maybe she wasn't 3D at all. No 3D girl could be this cute. Sena, you're so cute. Sena! It's hot. Sweat was forming on her forehead and along her neck. It was close enough that I could smell it, buddy. And there was no wind. We were trapped here under the rubble. We'd been in trouble if there was no way for air to get in. Was there? No, we'd run out of oxygen before too long. Come to think of it, Sena was running short of breath. Her rather small chest was heaving up and down at a fast pace on top of me. Are you having trouble breathing? You're feeling secondhand embarrassment? Fair. Shut up. I'm hot, that's all. Damn it, was she telling the truth or not? And why wouldn't she just use her gigalomaniac power already? She could just make all the rubble disappear like a magic trick, right? Nishijo, can you use your power? You can't focus like this. What? She wanted me to help? What the hell was I supposed to do? And I'd saved Ayase by making that flower bed. Even when I'd saved Sena back there. It's just been a coincidence. I didn't meant to do it at all. Don't come to me for help. I want you to help me. And stop breathing on me like that. It's torture. I mean it. A drop of her sweat fell into my mouth. It was salty. Oh god. Please, no. I thought I was going to cry. My mind was about to shatter into a million pieces. I just tasted her sweat. I had fallen into my mouth. Hey, Nishijo. Her face was red, but I could see she was angrier than she'd been a moment ago. I'm going to kill you. Haha, why? All I had done was taste her sweat. Why did she have to kill me over it? She was the one who drifted in my mouth in the first place. I hate reading all of this. At a time like this, how can you? Then she buried her face in my chest before she finished her sentence. Like she couldn't take any more embarrassment. Maybe she hadn't even meant to do it, but for me, it was the most powerfully cute thing she could have done. God, she's so cute. And her breath was going through the gaps in my clothes and right onto my skin. Sena gasped and looked up. Oh, I wanted her to keep doing it. Stop it. What are you thinking? She was clearly panicking. Maybe Sena was so used to being in charge that she was weak when somebody else got aggressive.
今すぐ
Seal that delusion away, Nishijo. Now.
妄想を封印しろ西条
That thing on your crotch. It's getting harder. Touching my thigh, you idiot.
硬くなって私の太ももに当たってるんだバカが
What? Now that she mentioned it, I could feel it. The softness of Sena's thigh.
妄想するなと
I
言ってん
said
だろ
stop. Suddenly she headed me. I can't read. Let's try this again. Suddenly she headbutted me right in the face. It was strong and caught me off guard, and it knocked me clean out. Let's go. I'm not going back to the cosmic church of the divine light. A shame, really. You had such a high opinion of your talents. You mean you were using me? I don't believe anything you say anymore. I know that the public image of you, Dai Kudamochi, the great holy church leader, is nothing but a lie. You wanted the salvation of the divine light, didn't you? I did, once, but not anymore. So what do you want now, then? Death. Atonement. Those who have touched the divine light once can no longer leave its grace. You may think you've left it behind, but the light will never leave you. I'm done relying on God for help. I've created something whose power rivals God. It will not allow me to receive his salvation. Nishijo, wake up. Nishijo. I've been listening to a really pretentious conversation between two men I didn't recognize. I'd heard Sena's whispers in the gaps between their words, and that woken me up. We were still pressed together. The rubble was all around us, and we couldn't escape. You chose this future of your own free will. Everything that's happened is your responsibility. But it's far too great a burden for one person to bear, isn't it? The salvation of the divine light could lighten your burdens. Yes, this was my choice. I followed the guidance of the divine light. Or rather, I did what you told me to. Someone's out there. You can hear their voices, right? I nodded. I could hear two men's voices. They were saying something about the Cosmic Church of the Divine Light. They were in a rescue team, if nothing else. It's him. He's close. He's close. I could clearly hear the sound of her clenching her jaw. I've had enough of your fancy words, Yudai Kudamochi. Nothing you say matters to me anymore. A shame, of course. Without your help, NoAH 2 is already complete. And that's left now is to send out our will to the rest of the world. You don't mean our will, you mean your will, and the will of Kozui and Aaaaaaa. Indeed. With the success of the third Project NoAH has passed the prototype stage. The third voice. What were they talking about? Or were they speaking? If we could hear them, they had to be somewhere near the spot where we were buried. Maybe we weren't buried as deeply as I thought. Sena was fidgeting. Her hands were clinging tightly to my uniform. Tightly, as if she were trying to keep control. Her gaze was lowered. She wasn't looking at me. World order will no longer be kept by 300 men, but by 2. Today is the dawn of a new era. Suddenly, I saw light. The rubble around us began to collapse. Sena gasped and looked up. A hand was reaching down from above, in between the gaps in the rubble.
無事か
Are you
Sena.
okay, Sena?
前
You. The hand reached her out, pulled her out. I can't speak, Jesus. Or read. The hand pulled her out, with her off me. I could move much more easily than before. I called out of the gap. We were in a room of the Nozomi building. It was the room we'd been trapped in. I was willing to let you be useful, just like Norose, and yet you refuse. So you'd rather live as cattle than be a ruler. Most of the monitors had fallen, and the screens had cracked. Of course, they were all black. The walls were crumbling too, but it wasn't as bad as I'd thought. We were buried alive, but not by that much trouble. We could have escaped any time we wanted to. I felt like an idiot for not moving because I was scared of being crushed. Sena. Sena was standing in front of me and I didn't recognize. His eyes were milky, and he was wearing a filthy coat. He looked like he was homeless. He is homeless, so... I felt like I'd seen him somewhere before, but I couldn't remember where. Maybe we just passed each other in Shibuya somewhere. And there was no one there but the two of them. The two voices we'd heard, that of the Cosmic Church's leader and the Diet member, coming out of a speaker somewhere in the room. Oh, Hatano. I see you've had a touching reunion with your daughter. Daughter. Sena was his daughter. I remembered hearing the name Hatano from Sena before. I hope you enjoy it, and when you're done, you can watch as the world changes forever. Once NoAH 2 comes online at full power, its effects will extend to the entire world. The required network is already in place. Suddenly, the voice from the speaker stopped. I heard a strange sound. The power to the speakers had shut off. Something had happened. Was that a gunshot? After the gunshot, we heard panting in a ragged, frail voice. Impossible. This wasn't supposed to happen. I was supposed to rule the world. A dying scream. It ended midway, and no further sound came from the speaker. It was a strange silence. What had just happened? Was he killed? Killed? By who? I don't know. Where had they been when they were talking to us through that speaker? Somewhere close? It had to be somewhere in the building at least. Which meant that whoever killed them, they were right nearby us. Let's get out of here. The murderer might come here. But who killed them? Why were they killed? No. What makes you think they were killed? The gunshots and the screaming? Yeah, the gunshots and the screaming. Calm down, Sena. I'm not talking to you. You heard the scream, right? They have to have been killed. But who killed them? Shogun? But Shogun was working for Nozomi, right? No, that was just a guess I'd made. I didn't have any evidence for it at all. It might be a little difficult to get out of here. This building is falling apart. There are cracks everywhere. Just after I came into the room, the entrance was blocked by rubble. Hanano was right. But it felt like there was an awful lot of rubble on the ground compared to the damage on the walls. And it felt wrong. But of course, I'd never been to any abandoned buildings before. I really didn't know how much rubble was normal or how walls looked when they collapsed. What I did know, however, was that we'd escaped from being buried alive, but we were still trapped. I can just destroy it with my D-sword. I finally realized that the strange high-pitched noise I'd heard when we were locked in that room had vanished. The earthquake must have destroyed the device making the noise. The porter? Was that what they were called? Maybe Sena could do something then. Relieved, I waited for Sena to make us a way out. But instead of summoning her sword, she was just staring at Hatano. What were you talking about with those two? Old times, and how we'll never be able to come to an understanding. Never? You sure about that? You're sure you're not still connected to them somehow? Where have you been these last 6 months? What have you been doing? Why did you appear here now at such a convenient time? You were watching us somewhere in this building, weren't you? I spent the last 6 months wandering around Shibuya, waiting to die. I wasn't planning on going back. I wasn't planning on going back to the church or to Nozomi. Sena snarled at him before turning to me. What makes you think those two were killed? Huh? Because I heard they have a lot of enemies. I don't know, interrupted. Any number of people could have killed them. I told you, I'm not talking to you. But we heard the screams and the gunshots. You're sure about that? It isn't possible that it's all an act. When we heard them speaking, how do we know it was in real time? Good point. What did she mean? Japanese buildings codes take earthquakes seriously. We're inside the HQ of one of the nation's biggest companies. They wouldn't have skimped on the construction costs. Look at the size of the damage around us. The earthquake that just hit was massive. So if we just had a massive earthquake, why were those two sitting in front of microphones, telling us all their secrets? There's a small gap between her words, as though she was still trying to figure this out for herself. Their secrets, Noah too, the third melt. I had understood most of what they'd said. It feels planned. Like there was some reason they needed us to hear it. Are those two even real? Is it possible they died before the earthquake? Nishijo, we didn't run into them once after coming inside this building, did we? Am I wrong? But they were talking on the monitor. On the monitor, right? We didn't actually see them. There are any number of ways to fake that. And even more ways to fake the voices from the speakers. Something's not right. This doesn't make sense. And I'm... Haruno interrupted her. He was looking at me intently. Takumi. Nishijo. So that's you. I hate this point of view of him, not gonna lie. He looks like a dirty, washed up rat. I see. You're the one then. Don't move. Sena's tone was sharp as a knife. I'll ask you again, or ask again. What are you doing here? I came to save you. No. I came to be killed, to tell the truth. Don't worry, I'll kill you soon. But first, answer my question. How did you know we were here? I felt a strong cry from the heart. You're no Giglomaniac. How are you able to feel anything? No. Only a small fraction of Giglomaniacs are capable of hearing anything like a cry from the heart. Like Kozupi, maybe. Come to think of it, where was Kozupi? Was she caught in the earthquake? I hope she was okay.
本当に感じ
Did
た
you
のか
really feel it?
最初か
Or
ら知っ
did you
てい
know
たんじゃ
about
ないの
this
か
from the start?
私
Know
た
that
ちが
we
この
were
部屋にお
lured
びき寄せ
here?
られたことを
冷静にな
Calm
れセナ
down, Sena. Your
憎し
hatred
みに
is taking
心を
over
支
your
配されてい
mind.
るぞ
冷静に
Calm
なれだ
down. The person I've
ずっ
wanted
と
to kill
殺した
for
いと思っ
ages
てい
is
た
right
人間
here
を目
in
の
front
前
of
にし
me.
て
How am I
冷静で
supposed
い
to
られるは
stay
ずがないだ
calm?
ろ
考えすぎてはいけ
Don't
ない
overthink things.
物
This
事
isn't a
は
complicated
陰謀論ほ
conspiracy.
ど複雑では
It's
ない
quite simple.
もっとシンプルだ
この場にお
There's
前
no
が現れ
good
るのは
goddamn reason
都合
for
が
you
良
to
す
be
ぎるん
here
だ
right now.
最初から仕組
This
まれた
whole
ことじゃ
thing
ない
was
の
a
か
setup, wasn't it?
この部屋に
You
お
were
びき出
lured
され
here,
て監禁され
trapped.
た私
Then
た
the
ち
earthquake happened.
地震
And then you show
直後
up,
に現
right
れ
in
たお
time
前
to
という
save
存
us.
在
Not the
スピーカ
same
ーからの
time. There's
こ
this
れ見よ
long
がしの
speech
陰
right
謀
out of
論
a
風な演
conspiracy
説とその不可解
thriller
な中
coming
断
out of the speakers, which cuts off with an ominous gunshot.
そもそも
There's no
この
evidence
部屋
this
が
is
望
even
み
the
のビルである
Nozomi
確証
building.
もない
What if you were
私
moved
たちが
somewhere
気絶
else
して
while
い
we
る
were
間に
passed out?
別の場所に運び込まれていたとしたら望みの
This
ビルに
room
内
looks
装
like
だ
the
け
one
模
in
し
the
てある部
Nozomi
屋
building.
地
But
震な
it's
ど起きて
not.
いなくて
There was no
散乱している
earthquake.
瓦礫も
The
人為
rubble
的に
here was
配置した
placed
もの
by someone. And the more she talked, the less I knew what to believe. I felt like all the things I thought I knew were crumbling one by one.
疑心暗鬼
Paranoia will
己
get
を
you
滅
killed.
ぼす
Get yourself together,
気をしっ
Sena.
かり持てセナ
お前に
I
名前
don't
を
want
呼
to
ば
hear
れた
you
くは
say
な
my
い
name.
会話をす
I'm
る
not
つも
here
り
to
はな
have a
い
conversation
質問に
with
答
you.
えろ
Now answer me.
地震は
The
起き
earthquake was real.
確実
It
に
happened. Almost every
渋
building
谷
in
のあらゆ
Shibuya
る
has
建
either
物が
collapsed
崩壊しか
or
かっ
is
ている
about to. Casualties will likely
死
run
傷
into
者
the
は
four
4
digits.
桁以上だろ
それを証
Do
明
you
する
have a
方
way
法
to
を持っ
prove
ているの
that?
か
うその壁を崩して
Destroy
み
that
る
wall with your D sword.
お前の
Sena waved her right hand, as if knocking something away. The D sword appeared instantly. She brought it down on the wall without any hesitation whatsoever. It sliced clean through, like a hot knife through butter. The wall collapsed, and a cold, strong wind blew into our faces. We could see what lay beyond it. What I saw was... a city of death. Just a few hours ago, Shibuya had been a bustling city, filled with bright lights and noise blasting from big TVs in the square. Now, almost every building I recognized as a landmark had collapsed. The ones that hadn't were either tilting over or had huge cracks running down them. Not a single car was running through the streets. In some places, the asphalt had fallen in. In others, it had risen up. There was black smoke rising up all over the city, vanishing into a muddy gray sky. That was what we saw as we looked down from the skyscraper. Sena was just being paranoid, and had been having an influence on me. This was, without doubt, the 31st floor of Nozomi HQ, and the earthquake was real. There was no telling when the building would collapse. If it did, I'd be dead in seconds. I'd be crushed under 100 tons of rubble. Maybe they'd never even find my corpse. We should get out of here now. I shuddered and looked around the room. My eyes stopped, instinctively, on one of the objects on the floor. One of the monitors.
単なる地震で
An earthquake
ここまで
wouldn't
被害
cause
が
this
大きく
kind
な
of
るはずが
damage.
ないノア2
Was it NoAH 2?
そうだ
That's right.
サ
The
ード
third
メル
melt. The final test of
NoAH 2
NoAH 2's
最終稼
capabilities.
働実験だ
Half of the LCD screen had shattered completely. The other half was still turned on. It felt like it hadn't been turned on a moment ago, but I couldn't be sure.
サードメルト
The third melt.
お前も
Are
関わ
you
ってい
part
るの
of
か
it?
言っただろ
I told you. I ran
う
away
私は
from
もう
Nozomi
半
over 6
年以
months
上前
ago.
に望みから逃げ出した人間だよ
望みだけじゃ
Not
ない
just Nozomi.
お前
You
は
ran from me.
私や
Mom. My little
Cousin.
sister too.
妹からも逃げたんだ
ああ
Yeah,
認め
I admit it. I half ignored Sena's and Hatano's awkward conversation as I knelt down in front of the monitor. Letters. There were letters on the screen. What the hell was this? Takumi, are you seeing this? Kin Ozanbi. A chat conversation? You're saying my name. Why? Seeing what? This was really creepy. Who was writing this? Her name was all messed up. How did they know my name? How did they know I was here? Was it Grim? Maybe he never told me. He was actually a super hacker? Daru? Or was it Shogun again? Was he reading my mind and ready to give me a new quest? An image of Nanami covered in blood flashed through my mind. Right, Nanami was captured somewhere. If this was something involving Nanami, and I didn't answer her, this time they might just kill her. I put the keyboard next to the monitor on my lap and let out a soft, wordless moan. I didn't even know if this keyboard was connected to the monitor. Praying, I pressed the N key. The letter appeared on the monitor. From the look of it, I could type in the chat as guessed. I'd answered N, or no, to the question, because it hadn't been specific. What was this I was supposed to be seeing? This. Without knowing the answer, I couldn't say why or yes, especially if Nanami's life was on the line. If you answer the question, that means you're seeing this, they answered me. Yeah, that makes sense. That's kind of what I figured what the question was about, but Takumi was fair to be like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm glad we were able to contact you.
Huh?
This is the Committee of 300. Huh? Not Shogun? The Committee of 300? I've been hearing that name a lot today. Hana and Kuramochi, who've probably been killed a moment ago, both said they were members of the Committee of 300. Nishijo, what's wrong? She appeared on the monitor from behind me. What is that? I don't know. They said my name. Sena Aoi. We're monitoring your presence there as well. Takumi Nishijo, Sana Aoi, Issei, Hatano. The three of you are all there, yes. Both Sana and I jerked our heads upwards toward the ceiling. Was there a security camera watching us? I saw a few things that looked like cameras, but all of them had been destroyed in the earthquake. None of them were moving. The other monitors were all silent too. Who is this? This is the Committee of 300. We've already introduced ourselves. Absolutely ridiculous. Can you prove it? Nishijo, type that to them. Huh? Okay. I went to type it, but before I could, the words appeared on the monitor. No need to use the keyboard. The cameras aren't in that room. I can assure you that we aren't using any kind of gadgets from your world. Your world? The easiest way to explain it is to say that we're monitoring you from a god's eye view, on a level higher than the one you exist on. The concepts and systems involved are beyond your ability to understand. And unfortunately, there's no way for us to prove to you that we're the Committee of 300. You'll just have to believe us. What the hell? Is some kind of attack from NoAH 2? Or a delusion attack from a Giglomaniac? Nishijo, is it possible that this is Shogun? How the hell could I tell from a few lines of chat? I shook my head with tears in my eyes, and Sena answered with a glare. Aren't they probably the one who killed Inohana and Kuramochi? No. The most likely possibility is that this is either Kuramochi or Inohana themselves. We're saying they're part of the Committee of 300 after all. Sena pointed the D-sword at Hatano. It was huge and sharp. She was waving it around with one hand. Just one hand. Or maybe this is your doing. Why would I bother setting up a trick like this? It was exhausting, having a monitor on the floor. I had to crouch down to read the text in the darkness. I knocked the rubble off the table and to put the monitor on top of it. There might be another member of the committee besides Inohana Kuramochi. There are 300 members after all. I mean,
いずれにせよ
if they're real,
こい
that
つが
is.
本物ならという前提がつく自分から
The
名乗
bad
る
guy
黒
only
幕
gives the hero his name in
ドラマや
movies
映
and
画の中
TV
で
shows.
本物か偽
Whether
物か
they're
とい
real
う
or
判
not
断
isn't our priority right now.
今はそれほど優先されるべきことではない重要なのは
What's important is whether the
この自
self-proclaimed
称
member of the
300 人
committee
委
of
員会メン
300
バーが
is the one who killed
井ノ
Kuramochi
花
and
と倉持を
Inohana.
殺した殺人鬼なのかそうでないかだ
こいつが犯人
We eliminate Kuramochi and Inohana. They were the ones who killed them? The two men really had been killed? They were trying to betray us, you see. Of course, you've been well aware of this for some time now.
委
We
員
didn't
会メン
eliminate
バー
them
同士
because they were a threat.
内部抗
The
争
chance of their plan succeeding was zero. For programs with errors must be eliminated. Consider it debugging. An internal struggle between members of the committee.
倉持たち
They
がモ
might
ニターして
be
いた部屋か
contacting
ら
us from the room
コン
where
タクトしてきてい
Kuramochi
る
and
かもしれな
Inohana
い
were.
でも
But
だったらなん
then,
で
why
スピーカーを
not
使わない
use
の
the speaker?
声を聞かれたくな
They
いから
don't
と
want us to hear their voices or
正体
know
を
who
知られ
they
たく
are.
ないんだ
僕ら
So
の知ってる誰かが
Somebody who knows us.
書き込んでい
The
る
man
男
typing
は
to us is
かな
extremely
り慎重だと
cautious.
いうことだよ
No, I don't even know if it's a man.
男かどうかも不明だが
この書き込みを
What
し
if
ている
it's
のが
Inohana
井
or
ノ花か倉持
Kuramochi,
で
and they
単な
just
る自
faked
作
their
自演だ
death?
としたら
井ノ花と倉
You
持
mean
の
the
二
two
人
of
で
them
の
had a falling out?
仲違いだというのか
そうかもしれないし
Possibly.
実は
Or
二
both
人とも
are
生きてい
alive
て
and trying to
私たち
deceive
を騙し
us.
ているだけかもしれない
騙す意図
Do
に
you
つ
have
い
any
て
ideas as to
推
why they'd
測
want
で
to
きて
do
いる
that?
のか
You seem to have misunderstood.
だったら
Neither Inohana
何者
nor
だって言うんだ
Kuramochi were members of the committee
神
of
だとでも言うつも
300.
りか
They were simply convinced that they were, because we convinced them. They were convenient pawns. Cover. This is equally true for anyone who appears in the things you read about the committee of 300. The true committee never reveals itself to the public. It couldn't, even if it wanted to do such a thing. It doesn't exist in your world. Then what the hell are you? Are you trying to tell me you're God?
このチャット相手
It
との
might be
議
a
論
bad idea to try
し
and
ない
argue
方がい
with
いか
them.
もしれない
We don't know what they want.
相手の意図
With
が不
nothing
明
but
だ
words to go on. There are any number of ways for them to slip in
い
fake
くらでもフェイクの
information.
情報を織り交ぜることができる
But at the same time, there isn't really much reason for them to lie either. I don't know. He had a point, but the person in the chat kept typing. I had no idea who this kid in parentheses and dollar sign was, but they knew a frightening amount about us. The word God is relatively accurate. There are 300 of us, each with an assigned jurisdiction. All of us exist to control and administer your world. We erase errors and construct order. That is what it means to control. So you're saying... Something came into my mind as I read the words. It was a thought that I'd had many times before.
だったら
So you're the
ゲー
game
ムマスターってい
masters?
うこと
ゲームマスター
Game masters?
どういう意味だ
What does that mean?
演出
It
で言え
means
ば
the developers
開
or
発者側ってこと
admins, like in
もっとわかりやすく
ESO,
言うなら
the people running the
中の
game
人
from
だ
the
よ
inside.
ちっともわか
I
らない
don't understand that at all. Sena rubbed her temples and frowned. Kids these days. Takumi Nichijo's explanation is accurate.
マジで
You're the game master who
おー
administered
来たこれ
the MMORPG's operations. Your characters, whether player or non-player. Wait, seriously? Oh, I was right. I was right. It's not a great thing to be right about, you That's silly. The theory that made me have all the solutions about someone else controlling me was right. Yeah, but how often does Taku guess anything correctly? Listen. There really was someone else in control of me. Somebody was controlling me, the exact same way I controlled Nightheart. Then tell this to the person controlling me. Tell them to remake their character. Tell them to get good at the game this time. Let him have a little win as a treat, maybe. I screamed at the monitor. I could tell Sena was looking at me, confused. We contacted you because we have a request. If you help us, we're about to give you the cheat code. Cheat code? This is incredible. The cheat code is like a way to do things you shouldn't be able to do. In ESO, you could use the codes to make a level 1 character achieve level 50 in an instant, or get a super rare item with a drop rate of 0.025% without doing any work at all. If I had the cheat code, I wouldn't be a Taku anymore. Maybe I could really be a hero. Maybe I could talk to 30 girls without stammering all the time. This is the completely unexpected plot twist I've been waiting for. I could be the strongest character, loved by all the girls, without having to do any work at all. I could spend my life playing on God mode with max stats and best in slot gear. Yes, I love you, Committee of 300. You are God. I'm so hyped. Lol, lol, lol. Do you think this cheat code really exists? The person we're talking to seems like it's some kind of higher dimensional being. Can somebody like that use the same words and language as we do? I mean, I don't see why not. This is a trap. Unfortunately, the hypothesis is incorrect. We're using words you can understand. Our usual language doesn't exist in your world. Bullshit. It's up to you whether you believe me or not. If you don't, we'll find another method. I believe. I want to believe. I'm tired of living my life being afraid of everything. If I could get a power greater than Shogun's, I wouldn't have to be afraid for the rest of my life. Thank you for your cooperation, Takumi Nichijou. We want you to remove an error, what you call NoAH. It has a profoundly negative effect on game balance. It may even damage game data. If you're God, why don't you use your power to do it yourself? The influence of NoAH has left your world running in an autistic mode. But it is no longer responding to our attempts to interact with it. Regardless, a game master does not intervene directly. We're simply administrators. We need your cooperation to remove the error. Autistic mode. Okay. My head's starting to hurt. That's so valid, Sena. This feels like pure nonsense to me. We can't intervene directly. How'd you get rid of Inohana and Kuromochi? Well, obviously telling one of the characters to do something about it. Duh. We have other cooperators. Debuggers, you could call them. But they lack the power to destroy NoAH. And Giglio-Maniac's power is needed. You don't want our cooperation. You want to use us. The world has autism. We need you to correct it, autistic child. Chaos Head 2009. No, 2008, you goober. Another way of describing the situation. We will not deny it. Our intentions are aligned at this point, we believe. That's true. Clever. The words on the screen can be taken to indicate the Committee of 300 exists, but also that it doesn't. And this could also be an attack by NoAH. But it's true that Kuromochi and Inohara were trying to betray the Committee of 300, right? They said so themselves.
あの時点か
And
ら
what if
妄
the
想による
delusion
攻撃
attack
が
was
始まっ
already
ていたと
underway
したら
then?
さっきも
I
言っただ
told
ろ
you just a minute ago.
モニターやス
There's
ピ
no
ー
way
カー
to
で喋
prove
って
that
いた
what
井
you
ノ花と
you
倉持
saw on
が
the
本物であ
monitors
る
and
証
heard
拠
on the
は
speakers was
一
really
つもない
them.
さっき
Sena,
から
you've just been doubting everything since we woke
疑って
up.
ばかりじゃないか。
この状
The
況
only
で
thing you can
信じ
believe
られ
in
るの
this
は自分だけ
situation
だ
is yourself.
世界
The
は
whole
全て
world
電気
runs
磁
on
学で
electricity.
電気
You
信
can
号に
change
細
what
工するだけ
somebody
で簡
sees
単に
just
見
by
ているも
messing
のを
with the
捏造できる
signals.
ここから見える
And that destroyed city
崩
we
壊した
see out
渋谷の
there,
光
the
景も
rubble in this
この
room.
瓦礫だらけの部屋も300
These
人以
messages
下を
from
名乗る
someone
存在から
claiming
の
to
書
be
き
the
込みも
committee of 300.
今
Even
こ
the
の場でこうして
Nishijou I'm
話している
talking
西条
to,
や
or... She gave Hachino a glance.
この男で
Or
す
this
ら
man.
偽物
They
か
might
も
all
しれ
be
ないんだ
fake.
セナ
Sena. If emotions are electrical in nature, your hatred of your father is simply something programmed into you. Human death is no different. The horrible deaths of your mother and sister should mean nothing to you. Are you prepared to tell us we're wrong? Damn. Sena clutched her jaw hard. The frown on her face deepened.
これは妄想だ
This is a delusion! It's also worth noting that autistic mode is a technical term, I think, from Ghost in the Shell that basically just means autonomous mode, not connected to any networks or whatever. I see. Interesting.
私の心
An
への
attack
攻
on my
撃だ
mind.
惑
You
わ
won't
されない
fool
ぞ
me.
に
Let us offer you this then. Succeed in destroying NoAH 2, and we'll bring your mother and sister back to life. What?
セナ
Sena,
言
don't
葉
be
に流される
deceived.
な
You're the one who
この
said
書き
these
込みが精
messages
神
might be
攻撃かもし
psychological
れないと言っ
attack.
たのは
A psychological
お前自身だ。
attack. I can read.
で
But
でも
チートコード
with the
な
cheat code,
可
you
能
might
かも
be able to do it.
何しろ
We're talking to
相手は
God
神
after
だし
all. The entire world runs on electricity. Those were your words, Sena Aoi.
本当な
An
のか
electrical system is, at its most fundamental level, digital data. Life and death are nothing but illusions. Creating a perfect restoration of a dead woman, including her memories, is a simple matter. For a game master, that is. Is that true?
判断を誤る
Don't make a mistake here.
お前はそ
They're
う
just
信じた
telling
い
you
だ
what
け
you
だ
want to believe.
現
You
実
can't
に蘇
bring
る
back
こ
the
とな
dead.
どない
うるさい
Shut up!
お前は
I don't
黙
want
って
to
ろ
hear what you think.
心の負い目に
They're
つけ込ま
taking
れて
advantage of the weakness in your
相
heart.
手は巧妙だ
They're clever.
こいつは神な
This
ど
is
では
no
ない
god. No, I'm
今
sure
確
of
信
it.
した
This person is just a
た
con
だの
artist.
詐欺師だ神は自己
God
完
is
結
a
した存在で
self-completing
なければならない
He has to be.
生死の概
He
念
has
そ
no
のものを
concept
持
of
ち合わ
life
せ
or
ていない
death.
し
He can't
理解
understand
できない
them.
そういう存在だ
黙れと
I
言ってん
said
だ
shut up!
お前
I'm
の
not
宗
asking
教
you
観
for
は
a
聞いてない
theology lecture. She pointed the D sword at him again.
元はといえばお前が
This
い
is
けな
all
いんだ
your fault.
お前
If
が
you hadn't killed
母さんを
mom,
殺しさえしなければ
その償いは
I'm
す
going
るつ
to
もりだ
atone for it. If you want to kill me,
私
you
を
can.
殺しても構わ
In
ない
fact, I want you to.
私はそれを望むだから
So,
母
don't
さん
believe
を
these
蘇ら
lies
せよう
about
などとい
bringing
う
back
虚
your
言を信じ
mother.
るな
そうやって
The
逃げ
fact that
よう
you
と
keep
する
trying to
の
run
が一番
away is
許
what
せない
makes
ん
me
だ
madder than anything. Look, now's not the time to be arguing with Daddy, okay? Maybe I should just ignore them and get the cheat code for myself.
今決めた
I just decided.
お前は
I'm not
殺さ
going
な
to
い
kill you.
ノア
I'm
2
gonna
を
destroy
破壊
Noah
して
too and bring
母
back
さんが生
Mom.
き返っても
And then I won't
お
let
前
you
には
see
合わせ
her
ない
ever again.
そして一
You
生
can spend the rest of your
後悔
life
し続けろ
regretting what you did.
どこまでも純粋
You're
だ
so
な
pure-hearted, Sena.
セナ感情に
Your
突き動か
emotions
され
rule
なが
you,
ら
but you want a
自
world
覚
that
の世
runs
界
on
を
electricity.
なんか
You contradict yourself.
お前は矛盾しているすまない
I'm sorry.
私がお前をそうさせてしまった
父親面
Don't
をす
try
る
to
な
act like you're my dad.
今さらそんな顔しても
It's too late for that.
私はお前を認めないおい
You,
私た
the
ちを
one
見てい
looking
るお
at
前
us. Sena screamed as she looked up at the ceiling.
チートコードの入
Tell
手
us how
方
to
法
get
を
the
教え
cheat
ろ
code. Haruno said nothing more. He just looked sad. He always looks sad. Then it settled. The cheat code has already been loaded into your world. But as we said, we're being blocked from interacting with your world. We couldn't choose where it appeared. We want you to go get it. Underground, it should be a station. Go to the coin lockers near the Fukutoshin line. It's inside locker number 1009. What about the key? Sena Aoi has one of the IC chip cards used by Japan's public transportation systems, correct? The lockers use those cards for locking, identification, and payment. We've loaded the necessary data onto her card already. Wow, cards are on top of things.
チートコードって
What does the
ど
cheat
んな
code
形を
look
してるの
like? We can't tell from here. What kind of gadget it becomes in your world is not a major concern. No matter what form it takes, the cheat takes effect when its lock is disabled and the code is in your hands. To disable the gadget's lock, you must destroy the gadget. Your target, NoAH 2, is directly above the locker. It's in the planetarium at the east entrance to Shibuya Station. Once you've acquired the cheat code, destroy the planetarium. I'll put an end to all of this. Good luck. And then the monitor went black. I could hear a clunk sound inside as it had died. I hadn't turned it off. It turned off on its own. I was excited. I met God, the person who controlled me. Their world consisted of different layers, and I'd spoken to a being from a higher one. I was going to get the cheat code. I could say goodbye to my crappy life. I could be invincible. Nobody could scare me now. Not Shogun, not you, and not Nozumi Technologies. I'd won. For once, I was one of life's winners. I wanted to head Shibuya Station right away. I wanted that cheat code badly. But Sena wasn't as eager as I was, it looked like. Her head was slumped. She was pointing her sword at Hatano. Sena, you're not going? Sena sighed just a little when I said her name, and then lowered the weapon. She walked past Hatano without giving him another glance, and idly waved the D-sword in her hand. The rubble blocking the exit shattered into tiny pieces.
Equal.
Let's go. Her voice was quiet, with no trace of the excitement present just a few moments ago. Issei Hatano watched his daughter and Takumi Nichijo leave, and then sat down in the rubble. I wanted to talk with God a little more, he'd said, and stayed behind alone. His daughter Sena looked like she'd wanted to say something to him, but instead, she shot him an annoyed glance before turning away. She left the room without saying anything. Hatano had said nothing to her, either. Committee of 300. Are you still there? It said to the empty, powered-off screen. There was no answer for a moment, but he kept staring. After a moment, the monitor powered itself on, and the chat window reappeared. Why? In other words, yes. Why Sena and Takumi Nichijo? Of the Giggler maniacs present in Shibuya, they were the ones we were most likely to contact successfully. No other reason. What does the Committee of 300 define this world as? A video game? A testing lab? A cattle ranch? If you're referring to the Human Cultivation Project, that's nothing but a delusion asserted by a few conspiracy theorists. I've told you already, we do not intervene directly in your world. The Human Cultivation Project. It was a phrase you heard whenever you read conspiracies about the Committee of 300. The committee wanted to establish a single, unified world government and construct a new world order. All but a chosen few would be kept under permanent brainwashing by the silent weapons, and so become unknowing slaves. Like cattle, they would offer their flesh, their milk, their labor, their children, and their lives to their masters. If it ever became real, it would be the cruelest, most systematic utopia possible for mankind. Humans would have no will of their own. They would become automatons, living happily even while oppressed. They wouldn't even know what was happening to them, so no one would ever complain. The human cultivation project may be a delusion, but the silent weapons aren't. NoAH exists. We told you already. You didn't want to intervene directly again. That's where the error we mentioned comes into play. You, Takumi Nishijo, Genichi no Rose, all created it. We're trying to fix it. And then the world will be under your control again. We'll be unknowing slaves for you to exploit. As he spoke, a terrifying possibility occurred to him. Was the human cultivation project already complete? An interesting idea, but an inappropriate metaphor. From the perspective of God, it would be more appropriate to say that you were cattle from the moment the world was created. That, however, is simply a metaphor. Answer my first question. Now, answer me. How does the Committee of 300 see this world? A testing lab? A cattle ranch? Kinoziv fell silent at his question. It's time. Time. What time? It's necessary that the Committee of 300 remain nothing more than a ridiculous conspiracy theory. Anyone who knows too much will be eliminated, as Inohara and Kuramochi were. And the three of you are no exception. The three of us. You don't mean Sena and Takumi Nishijo as well. When you made contact with us, you became our pawns. Well, I'm gonna have to read the rest of that when I'm video editing, because that's gonna bother me to not know right now. The monitor went black again. It was as good as a death sentence. Sena! Hideno bit his lip and quickly stood up. If he hurried, he might still catch up with them. He had to tell them it was a trap. He didn't want his daughter to die. He killed his wife and his daughter's little sister. He was all he had left. She was all he had left. No matter how much she hated him, he wanted her to live. So, he ran. But he never made it out of the Nozomi Technologies building. Shocker. There was the sound of an explosion and a violent shaking. It wasn't the earthquake and the sound. It was clear that someone had set a bomb. But knowing that didn't help him. The floor beneath him fell, and one looked like the gates of hell opened beneath him and swallowed him up. Yeah, checks out. Only after making it down the street level did I really understand just how big the earthquake was. And there's nothing left of the brightly lit city I knew. The city had died. It was a city of death. I could see piles of people lying on top of each other, unmoving. Blood puddles lying in a row. Nobody was alive. Everybody was dead. Hideno had said the causalities would be in the 4-digit range. There was no way to that had caused this. This wasn't a natural disaster. Disaster wasn't the right word at all. This was a slaughter. Sena was walking a little ahead of me. Her expression was as pained as mine. Hideno wasn't with us. He'd stayed behind in the Nozomi Technologies building. He was, supposedly, Sena's father. But it certainly didn't look like that to me. She seemed to hate him. The two of them brought up her mother and her sister a few times. What had happened between them, whatever it was so what broke her. I wasn't going to ask for details. I don't even know what to say. My priority now was getting the cheat code. As long as I had it, I wouldn't need Sena to protect me. I'd be safe on my own. Suddenly, I heard a rumbling behind us. I thought it might be another earthquake and quickly dropped to the ground, but the earth wasn't shaking. I turned around nervously. A second ago, the Nozomi building had been behind us. Now, I saw a column of smoke rising into the sky, like a volcano had erupted. The building itself was gone. Had it collapsed? I don't know what was still inside. Sena let out a moan. She looked up at the huge column of smoke, which was now covering the sky.
Deus.
Daddy. And then she saw me looking at her and turned away, but her shoulders were shaking. Damn it. If I'd known this would happen, I would have killed him myself. But he wanted that. If I'd killed him myself. Then you should just bring him back too, then. With the cheat code, it was possible. At least it should be possible. If you were willing to believe Kid knows it, that is. Bring him back so I can kill him? Seems inefficient. Yeah. Pat, pat, pat. She laughed and then broke into tears. I didn't know what to say to her, so I said nothing. She held in the tears for a while, and then seemed to work up the resolve to start walking again. There were no more tears in her eyes, and quickly followed after. The underground area of Shibuya Station was a complicated maze, with platforms for the Hanzomon line and the newly established Shifukutoshin line. Also, the Ginza line was a subway, but its platform was on the second floor above ground for some reason. If you looked at it on a map, it would be easy to mistake it for a dungeon in a video game. The earthquake had caved in all the staircases too, burying them in rubble. Sena had blasted through them with her D-sword, so we were able to get through. But in the darkness, it took a long time to find the locker we were looking for. The air circulators were all broken too, so the air was filled with dust. I was coughing with every step and thought I'd choked to death. There were bodies everywhere too. The smell of rot was palpable. This is it. The locker we were looking for was undamaged and upright. And for some reason, it had electricity even while the others didn't. The IC card reader screen was lit up. Please press the button you want to use, it said. There were 2 buttons, insert and remove. Is the cheat code really inside this completely ordinary locker? This locker had been here before the earthquake. Countless people had walked past it. Normally, no one even noticed these things. How many people even use these lockers in the train stations? Were there that many of them? If you looked closely at them, you'd often see that most of them were full. And there were urban legends that said somewhere out there was a locker that never opened, but with something unbelievable inside. These legends had been around for decades, and they were completely believable. A locker like this was a small, tiny space right next to your everyday life where the unnatural could hide. I pressed the button to remove, and was prompted to put my card up against the screen as IC reader. Let's see what's in the box. Hope or despair. Sena took her IC card out of her pocket, and slowly moved it toward the screen. And there's a beep, and then the sound of a lock opening. With everything so quiet down here, it sounded far louder than it normally might have. Both Sena and I stood there, and both took a quick look around us. And it was time to meet the cheat code, whatever the hell it was. Please don't be creepy or gross, I thought. Personally, I'd like, a stay-at-a-ton figure. Sena wiped the sweat off her forehead.
1009番
Locker 1009, right? It was the second from the left, third from the bottom. The number was written in big letters on the door. The door to the locker 109 was open slightly. It was too dark to see through the gap until what was inside. Sena and I froze as we stared at the locker. You opened the door. I could feel Sena thinking it, even if she didn't say it. I'd been trying to silently pressure her into opening the door too, so I couldn't complain. I thought about doing rock, paper, scissors to decide, but there wasn't time, and it wouldn't be appropriate anyway. Sena, you should open it, I went to say, but before I could.
開けろ
Open it,
西条
Nishijo. Sena took a step back and raised her sword.
もしもの場合は
If things go wrong,
私
I'll
が援
back
護
you
する
up. What does wrong mean?
急げ
Hurry! She looked like she was ready to stab me right in the back if I didn't do what she wanted. My throat was parched with nervousness. I told myself that if I could only make it through this, I could be a hero. I put my hand on the partially open door.
開ける
I'm
よ
going to open it. Okay.
あ
Yeah. Slowly, the door opened. I was expecting something big and dramatic to happen, but nothing did. And inside was...
なんだ
What the
これは
hell? Sena and I were both silent as we stared into the locker. Something wrapped in white. It was bigger than I expected it to be. I reached out to it and... I was thinking it was oddly baby-shaped, but I didn't want to say it. There was a sudden cry, and I pulled back my hand. What? No way.
赤ちゃん
A baby. There's a living baby in the locker? There's a big blow-up a few decades ago when a baby had been left in a locker like this. The coin locker baby, they called it. I guess it was still happening today. No, forget that. Where's the cheat code? I checked the number on the door again. Yep, it was locker 1009, which meant... Sena picked up the screaming baby gingerly, like it was something very fragile that could break at any moment. It is a baby! They are fragile and can break at any moment. The baby's cries were getting louder and louder. Sena stood there frozen, looking for me to help. Nishijo,
西条
help.
助けろどうしたら
What am I
いいんだ
supposed to do? Don't ask me. I think you should breastfeed it. Buddy,
死ね
die. She got mad at me. Could Sena tell what delusions I was having?
多分
I think
この赤ちゃん
this
が
baby is the
チー
cheat
トコードだよ
code. Which meant that could only mean one thing. This baby was the cheat code. We had to destroy it to activate it. Right. Destroy it. That meant killing it. Sena glared at me. She wrapped her arms around the baby to protect it.
できない
I can't do it.
できるわけない
I
だろ
can't do it.
あの地
It
震を
survived that
こんな
earthquake all
暗
alone
くて
here
狭い
in
場
this
所で
cramped, dark
たっ
little
た一人で生き延
space.
びたんだぞ
それは
It's the
チー
cheat
トコード
code.
だよ
It only showed up
地震が起
after
き
the
た後に
earthquake.
ここに現れたんだそれは人
It's
間
not
じゃない
human. It just looks like
そう
it.
見えてるだけで
あの自
If
称
you believe
300
what the
人委員会の言
self-proclaimed
葉を
committee
信
of
じれば
300 says.
もし違ったら
What if they were lying?
あるいは
This might just be an
元々ここに置き
innocent
去りにさ
baby
れていたこ
someone
の子
left
に
here.
後
And
から
they
チート
installed
コー
the
ドだ
cheat
け
code
埋め込んだ
inside
かもし
it.
れないんだぞ
Sena was so loud and fierce that I took a step back. I couldn't look her in the eye, but I tried my best to argue. But if we don't destroy it, we won't get the cheat code. If I lost to Sena here, I wouldn't get the cheat code. I'd be a creepy otaku the rest of my life. Touch this child, Nichijou. Feel its warmth. Can you kill a little baby like this? Of course not. I'm completely harmless. That's why it's your job. But of course, I couldn't say that. You're contradicting yourself, Sena. You were so big around the way here. The world runs on electricity, right? Which means that kid's just a doll. But it's crying. Sena held the baby gently. This wasn't the grumpy, cranky Sena I knew. Her face was filled with compassion. It's crying, Nichijou. This is crazy. Was Sena just another crazy chick buddy? If we don't activate the cheat and destroy NoAH 2, your family won't come back. Why are you hesitating? Because this child is alive. I can't kill it. I'll kill it for you then. Shut up, Suwa, fucker. Huh? A roar. I dropped into a crouch out of sheer reflex, with no idea what was going on. This motherfucker. I looked around, still low to the ground, and saw a man standing near the Fukutoshin line turnstiles. He was holding something in his hands. Sena's voice was hoarse. I could see her hands were turning red with blood. No, it wasn't Sena. It was the baby she was holding. The white towels it was wrapped in were turning red at a frightening pace. She's going to die. Again. They're going to die right in front of me again. Her body was shaking. I'm so damn good with a gun. Oh, shut up, you fucker. He was wearing a suit and walking towards us with a grin on his face. There was a big backpack on his back. What are you guys doing down here? And also, what's with the baby? Is that yours? You got her pregnant, kid? Man, teenagers these days. They even know how to use a condom. Can we strangle him? Can I get a token to tear out his internal organs with his bare hands? Right? Right? Not my problem. I'm here to kill the both of you. Can't have you nosing around me with teeth, you see. He was with Nozomi then? I felt like I'd seen him somewhere before, but I couldn't remember. Why did he have a gun? He was going to kill us. He had to escape. I guess I'll start with the crazy sword girl who's been attacking all our boarders. He raised the gun. He was aiming it at Sena, but Sena was just holding the baby and sobbing. What was I supposed to do? I have the cheat code now. What do I do? I'm invincible now. I can't protect Sena. I'm invincible. I can do whatever I want. Nichijou. I put myself between Sena and the gun. A moment later, I felt a terrible impact and burning pain in my chest. My uniform was turning red. I'd been shot. Oh, very cool, Takumi Nichijou. Sacrificing yourself to save the girl. What a man.
でも
But how long do you
そ
think
れ
you
も
could
い
keep
つ
it
まで
up?
持つかな。
With each gunshot I heard, another hole opened in my body. Blood splattered everywhere. The pain started to wreak havoc on my nerves. Sena was still looking at me emotionlessly, tears in her eyes as she held the baby. The towels were mostly covered in red now. I couldn't tell if it was the baby's blood or my own.
日常
Nishijo,
違う
you're bleeding.
違う
And water is wet.
このままじゃ
You're going to use the cheat code.
使って
But what do I do?
どうしたら
Crap, I'm starting to pass out. It hurts, 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 it hurts. Nobody told me it was gonna hurt like this. The Chica would give me invincibility, but if Sena didn't activate it, I was going to die. Someone was approaching me from behind. I could sense the murderous desire radiating from them. I felt something hard against my back. My wounds felt like they were on fire, but the sensation was ice cold.
よく頑
Nice
張った
work
っす
hanging in there,
ね。
kid.
でも
But now
これ
it's
で終わりっ
over.
す。
I shot to the heart
こ
from
の
this
至近距離
range.
で心臓をズドンとや
I
れ
don't
ば、
think even a
さすがの
Kikulomaniac
ギ
could
ガロマ
stop
ニアックスで
that.
も死亡確定っすから。
セナ
Sena, hurry. Sena was just crying. Was this the end? I had the cheat code now, but it wasn't gonna do me any good.
くたばれ。
Die,
ク
you
ソガ
little
キ。
shit. No, you're the little shit. Then the sensation on my back disappeared. I thought I had been shot, but instead of a gunshot, I heard the sound of something shaking the air. My arm.
俺の腕が。
Fucking deserve it, buddy. White wings, shining and dancing in the air. We were underground. There were no birds anywhere. Half passed out from the pain, I slowly turned around, and I saw... Rimi!
リミ
Rimi.
タク
Taku. She was holding a sword I'd never seen before. It was beautiful and terrible to look at. Rimi was there. Rimi, the girl who'd abandoned me. She was looking at me with a sad smile. Blood was pouring from the man's arm. It had been severed clean at the elbow. The hand with the gun was lying on the ground. Had Rimi done that? You bitch. You cut off my hands. After what you did to Nana, you don't have the right to complain. You know what? Yeah. Hand for hand, I guess?
リミ
Me. Rimi looked away from me. She stood in front of the man, as if she was protecting us.
早く外
Go, quickly.
事情は
I know
大体理解
basically
して
what's
るから
going on.
ノア2を
Destroy
壊
Noah
して
too. Aoi, Taku. Her loud voice snapped me out of my drowsiness. The slightest movement made terrible pain run through my body. I wanted to collapse right where I stood. I didn't want to move. I didn't want to think. I didn't want to die. I started to pass out again. I could feel the blood pouring from all the holes in my body. As despair and the terror of death threatened to overcome me, I wrapped my hand around Sena's shoulder.
行こ
Let's go.
う今のう
While we can. I'm sorry,
すまない
Yoshisho.
日常私を
You were protecting me,
かばって
and I were pleading so much. Her eyes were soaked with tears. I'd never seen her cry before. Come to think of it, I wasn't sure I'd ever thought she was capable of crying. Not only now, with my hand around her shoulder, did I realize for the first time, just how frail her body was. Sena probably wasn't special either. Real-life girls were just thin like this. Normally she was arrogant, bossy, and always felt eager to step on my face. But Sena was a girl after all. Don't worry, Sena. There's nothing for you to cry about. If you can get the cheat code, I'll be fine. I'll be just fine. I clenched my jaw and started to walk. Behind me, I could hear a strange noise, and a piercing resonating sound. I didn't look back. He arrived above ground. He was leaving a trail of blood behind me. I'd lost a lot of blood. At first, the winds had felt so hot. Now they were so cold. No matter how hard I tried to keep control, my body shivered horribly. My teeth were chattering. I looked up and saw a planetarium in front of me. There was something strange about it. The other buildings around it had collapsed, or had huge cracks spreading through them. The planetarium building, however, was completely unharmed. That building had been torn down years ago, I thought. Why was it still here? Why had I never wondered about the fact that it was here? Was it someone's giglomaniac power, or no one too? Either way, it must have been because of the cheat code that I noticed. All that was left to activate the cheat and destroy the planetarium. Sena couldn't keep me up anymore. I fell to the ground. Sena,
チート
use the cheat code.
使うんだ
It hurt to even talk. Sena's eyes were going between me and the baby. She was shaking her head softly and shivering. No, my eyes were going blurry. Without the cheat code, I'll die. Yes, Shisho.
師匠
Get a hold of
しっかり
yourself.
しろ
Yes.
女
Yes,
の
listen.
死なないで
Don't die. Please,
なあ
listen.
西条
Shisho.
世
The
界
world
は
doesn't run on electricity.
電気仕掛けなんかじゃないんだ私は
I
た
just
だ
wanted to believe
思い
that.
込みたかっただけ母さ
I
んと
couldn't
妹
forgive
を
myself for
見
letting
殺し
my
にしか
mom
で
and
き
little
なかった
sister
自分が
die. I couldn't forgive myself for getting sick of the
気持
sight
ち
of
悪いと
them
吐いて
growing
しまった
up.
自分が許せなくて
I didn't want
誰
to
が死
believe
んだ
they
の
were dead.
父さん
What
があ
my
んなこ
father
とし
had
たのも
done. I wanted to get rid of all my emotions.
感情だって捨て去りたくて
But I
だ
can't.
けど
No matter what I try,
どうやったって
Still hate my
父さんを
dad.
憎んで
I'm
しま
still
うし
sad about my
母
mom
さん
and
や妹
sister's
の死ん
death.
だことが悲
And
し
I
いし
still can't forgive
自
myself.
分が許せないしこの子
I don't want this child to die. Damn it. Sena was useless. I'd have to do it myself. I reached my head out toward the bloody baby Sena was holding.
貸して
Give that to me.
それを
But Sena refused to let go. No.
ダメだ
Ishijo,
やめろ
stop.
もう
It's already
死んで
dead.
るよ
Sena gasped, realizing I was right. I yanked the baby from her hands. I ignored her sobs and held the baby in my arms. Come on, cheat code. Give me power. I knew it was gonna be his D sword. And then a pale light, a strange color. A glowing sword was lying on my feet. The D sword. I forgot the pain as I reached down to pick it up. It was huge, shockingly light, like holding air. I was sure of it. This is the real thing. It wasn't a toy. Way to go, cheat code. I had worked so hard to get a D-sword and failed, and now here it was in my hands. I used what little strength I had left to stand up. My wounds hadn't healed, but now I was invincible. I could cure myself in an instant. There's nothing to fear. But Sena currently useless. I'll destroy NoAH 2 myself. I could feel the power welling up inside my body. I felt like I could do anything I wanted to. I had a power that rivaled God. I swung the sword. I was aiming for the planetarium, which is a yearly wonder. I'll destroy you.
これで
This is the end.
終わりに
A gunshot. Blood spurted out from my chest. And then, incredible pain. For a moment, I stopped breathing. My vision blacked out. I could feel something awful deep in my throat. And when I coughed, I could taste blood in my mouth. Had the man shot me again? Hadn't we been holding him off? I looked around, and then I gasped. There were so many people there. They were surrounding Sena and I. They all had the same dead eyes. They all had guns in their hands. They were all aiming at me. And all of them were whispering something. May the divine light save us. May the divine light save us.
信仰の
May the
救い
divine light save us.
信仰
May
の
the
救
divine
い
light save us.
信仰の
May the
救い
divine light save us. May the divine light save us. Sena, get down! We all fired at once. The bullets tore through my body, ripping my flesh and severing my bones. An impact hit me hard and blew me off my feet. I danced like a puppet. The pain hit my mind directly. It made me almost pass out. Damn it. But I stayed standing. I had the D-sword held high with one hand. I'll destroy you, I prayed. I'll destroy NoAH 2. No matter how much of a mess I am, I won't die. I can't die. I brought down the sword. A red arc of light shot out from it. There was a flash in the night sky. It shot out toward the dome, a blade of light tearing through the darkness. It headed straight for the planetarium. And was repelled by an unseen power.
嘘でしょ
No. It was like there was an invisible wall between it and me. The light from the D-sword was deflected and disappeared. Silence. The ones who'd shot at me, Sena, myself, all of us were watching in shock. Even the cheat code wasn't good enough. Was it impossible to destroy NoAH 2? One more shot. I couldn't let it end here. I spat out blood. The sweat was getting in my eyes. I barely felt any pain. I was losing feeling in my whole body. Maybe my nerves were paralyzed. One more shot. I'm strong. The strongest. I've got the cheat code. Oh, just one more shot. I raised the sword. May the divine light save us! And scream, and another gunshot. Nishijo! Sena threw herself on top of me. This time, it was her turn to save me. Sena. Help. I'll help you. Sena held my bloody body tightly. She clenched my hand, the one that was holding the D-sword. Sena's body was so warm. It almost felt hot. It must have been the heat of her blood. The last bullet had pierced her body. This is the heat of the blood pouring from her beating heart. Now I understand how much this means to you. Let's destroy it. For the sake of that child, too. Let's destroy it. Let's work together. I won't let you be the only one to die. I won't let you be the only one to do something crazy.
私とお前
You and I will share the same
運命
fate
共同体だずっと
together
一緒だ
forever
死ぬ
when we
時も
die. When we
戦う
fight.
時も
That's almost romantic.
もう
Let's put an end to this cycle of sadness.
止めよう復活とか
I don't need to bring them back to life.
でもいい自然の
I
摂理
shouldn't do
に反す
anything
る
that
こと
defies the natural order.
するべきじゃない私は
Just,
ただもう
I just don't want to see any more sadness or
私も
hatred.
見たくないんだこんな世
I
界
don't
を
want to see the world like
見たくないん
this.
だお前が
I
傷つ
don't
く
want to see you getting hurt
見たく
either.
ないんだだから
So, let's destroy it together.
壊そうあの
The cause of
す
all
べて
of
の
this.
元凶を
Sena's voice echoed in my fading mind, that she finally recovered. She was crying so much. She was covered in blood after getting hurt defending a Ryutaku like me. Both Sena and I were covered in blood. But I could feel Sena's warmth. I could hear Sena's voice. We held the D-sword high together. I could still hear the gunshots around us. But it was too late. The power was welling up inside me, stronger than before. I could feel the powerful pulsing of Sena's life. I destroyed the device whose power rivaled God. Using the power of God, this time it would work.
行くぞ
Let's do it.
西条
Nishijo. I nodded. And Sena and I. Brought down the sword with all our strength. It was a powerful flash of light. A flash of light that ripped apart the whole world. A red light that split the night in two. A red blade that seemed as if it might reach all the way to the moon itself. It annihilated everything it touched. The planetarium burned to ash, along with its unseen wall. The impact and wind were incredible. I thought they'd rip me apart. The people around us were being blown away. But still. Sena and I supported each other's bodies. We held the baby tight, protecting it. And we used every bit of power we had. I wasn't thinking at all about what came next. With the cheat code, I could heal my wounds. All I needed to focus on now was destroying NoAH 2. I kept pouring all my power into it, letting it burst forth. The sound disappeared. The light vanished. Sena and I were standing there, silently, in the middle of the dead, ruined city. Sena was clinging to me, and I was leaning up against her. We were holding the bloody baby between us. I couldn't move another step. I couldn't move an inch. I didn't have the strength left.
も
Enough.
ういいんだ悲しいけど
I'm sad. But that's
No.
enough.
いいんだ死んだ人を
I'm
生き返
selfish
ら
to
せるのなんて
want to bring back the dead.
エゴでしかないからチートコードを
Let's get back the cheat code.
返そう
I agreed. When we were alive, we had to live our lives for the sake of those who had died. I'm sorry. Sena softly held the bloody baby.
ごめん
I'm sorry.
死なせてしまっ
I'm
て
sorry I let you die.
ごめん
Sena sure was crying a lot today. But she was a lot prettier now than she was when she was mad at everybody all the time. And her tears were beautiful too. I thought about that as I looked up at the night sky. Jesus fucking Christ. Well, this ending did a great job of opening more questions than it answered. Fuck. Just Do you guys have any thoughts you'd like to share with the class? Part of me is hoping for an after credit scene, but I don't think there will be. There usually isn't. Screaming. You're trying to think of how this would tie into Steins Gate, but you're coming up on a blank. Yeah. I feel like how things tie into Steins Gate will definitely be mostly like answered in the Blue Sky ending more than any of the others. But all the arrows are gone. I confirmed the Wait, that's what's her face? All the arrows are gone. I confirmed the destruction of NoAH and the elimination of Genichi Norose as well. The original Takumi Nichijou has been secured. He's barely alive, but we have him. As for the copy of Takumi Nichijou, as well as Tana Hatano, as per the plan, when the mission is finished, they're both to be. They're dead. I'll continue my investigation here, but it appears likely that neither Sena Hatano nor Takumi Nichijou created any errors. And isn't that good enough? Less work for me. Oh, right. I took care of the followers of the Cosmic Church that we were hanging around. I must say that's her name. Rimi Sakihata escaped, but she's no threat. The human cultivation project is going to need some adjustments. Going to bite something. But in my judgment, the string of errors can be used to further the plan itself. In the end, the Committee of 300 has suffered no damage at all. Yes, understood. I'm ending my debugging mission. I'll return to my position as observer. I can read. You. Oh, the child's alive. That's going to count as an error. Did the two of them give it life, I wonder? I suppose I could pretend I didn't see anything. I'm single, and children really aren't my thing, but... I wonder if it's even possible to get milk in Shibuya right now. I wasn't expecting Momose to have a greater role than she's been presented with. That's frustrating. That's really frustrating. Screams. The baby had brown hair, so feel free to make theories about that. for other series, because I don't think the baby's gonna be much more than a baby in this one. Okay, well, because, like, it felt incomplete before the credits. So there's like, okay, there's probably gonna be an after credit scene, even though, like, most of the endings haven't had after credit scene. But that was the after credit scene, and I'm pissed. Screaming, 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 screaming. Yeah, that's it. That's what I got. Lots of screaming internally. I'm pissed. I'm so pissed off. If the baby does get tied into the future series, it might be not until Robotics Notes is gonna be my guess, because like Steins Gate takes place literally 2 years later, and there's like no one that's like 2 years old that we know about at that point. But I don't know when Robotics Notes takes place, probably around the same year it came out. Let me check when that was, because I don't know when that was released exactly outside of when it was placed on Steam. Okay, Robotics Notes came out in 2012, so if it also follows the same pattern of taking place the year it came out, then it wouldn't be until, blah blah blah. The baby would still be quite baby. That's what I'm trying to say here. But looking at the release timeline, it is interesting to see that Linear Bounded Phonogram came out after Robotics Notes. Just gonna bear that in mind. Screams. Just screams. When does Robotics Notes take place? Okay, it takes place in 2009, according to the wiki page. That's interesting. Did I say 2009? I mean 2019. I'm so good at speaking. But what I find interesting about it coming out in 2019, like, it taking place in 2019 rather, is that it, like... Yeah, the Robotics Notes Dash, a sequel to the game, was released in 2019. So that's also interesting. That's interesting. Interesting. But that does leave an open window for any brown-haired characters to possibly be connected that way. They would have to be babies still, kind of, because, like, 2008 to 2019, that's, like, only 11. But still. Anyways, enough thinking about the baby that they gave life to after perishing. A lot happened. I'm frustrated. I think you guys could tell that much, though. Screams. Yeah, that's kind of the most I have to offer about that ending. Momose, I'm gonna keep a close eye on you going forward, because that's what I have to offer. But yeah, so that's that. If you have any further thoughts and opinions that you want to share about this ending, do spoiler tag, but do otherwise feel free to share in the Discord under the Science Adventures series, in the games, forums, thingamajigs, yeah. But until next time, bye bye everyone!